Well, it is great to see you here today. Thanks so much for tuning into the Weather Network. We have made it to Friday. I'm Rachel Schoutsen, and this is a look at your developing stories here. We're now playing freezing rain. Yeah, that's going to be an issue through Ontario today. Also, the temporary temperatures certainly falling through Ontario, and weekend rain through the east. We'll talk about that coming up right here, and also have your CFL forecast, of course, Sunday. Big day in Winnipeg. Okay, this afternoon, look at Toronto. 12 degrees above zero. Montreal at 13. Halifax at 14. We're certainly sharing in with the mild temperatures here, but that cold air is going to be filtering through. Toronto looking at a daytime high on Saturday of just 2. Ottawa sitting at the freezing mark. So these are certainly temporary temperatures. Let me take you into Winnipeg now, where it's way too cold to rain here. Yeah, some cold air, wind chill certainly in play. Today a little bit warmer, a daytime high of -4. When you compare that to the -12 yesterday, it's going to feel a little more comfortable. And of course, Ottawa versus Edmonton, -4, feeling like -9 at game time. Now let me take you into Ontario here. This was the scene in Timmins. The winds with the snow creates a little bit of low visibility out on the roads, that's for sure. Now the snow has tapered off in Timmins, but it's starting up down into Sudbury. This snow line is going to sink further to the south. Parry Sound, for example, getting into some mixing. And right along that freezing line, that's when the potential of freezing rain is there. So we're going to keep a close eye on this story throughout Ontario today. And the rain showers, yeah. That's going to sink down in through southern Ontario. We could see about 10 millimeters of rain for the city of Toronto. And what's also going to sink down is that cold air. Yeah, temperatures go from about 12 degrees above zero to about 1 degree for the city of Toronto. That's a look at your daytime high. And all of this rain, that filters further to the east. Now, here's a look at your locals. Well, we did it. We made it to Friday here. Thanks for making the Weather Network a part of your day. Across the west, high pressure in place. Still looking at that wind chill, though, coming into play throughout Saskatchewan, Manitoba especially. And in Ontario here, a warm day to start in the south. Same thing in through southern Quebec, but the cold air will continue to filter through. We'll have details on this coming up throughout the show. But first, here's Friday's edition of Share Your Weather with Nicole Karkic. And just on that thought there about driving in the ice today, Ontario really seeing that cold air filtering through the province. And this is where we are going to see the potential for really icy conditions. Sudbury has seen a prolonged period of some mixing. So being out on those roads, you can bet that they are slick. Now, thanks for tuning into the Weather Network here. I'm Rachel Schoutsen. Your local forecast coming up in 40 seconds. But look at this here. High concentrations of fine particles. Yeah, so special weather statements are in place through BC. And that's basically just because a lot of people are burning that wood stove. And there's Sean, thanks so much for sending this one in. This afternoon in Edmonton, it's 4 degrees. Oh, that's going to be a lot warmer than what we have been seeing too in Calgary. Today's the last day of that Arctic outflow throughout the BC coast. And then today we're seeing northwesterly winds in through the prairies. This here, gusts 40 to 60 kilometers. The wind chill is still with you, so still cold for those Grey Cup preparations. Now here's your locals. Well, we've made it here to Friday, and thanks so much for making the Weather Network a part of your day today. I'm Rachel Schoutsen, and this is our developing stories right now. We're talking about freezing rain, the temporary temps. Yeah, it might be warm today in southern Ontario, but temperatures are certainly falling, and also weekend rain through the east. Yeah, that's going to be your story out in Atlantic Canada. Right now, we'll take a look at temperatures here into the afternoon. This is the forecast too in Calgary. That's going to be really nice. A huge bump up in temperatures for you. Winnipeg at -4. That certainly beats -12. Yeah, that was yesterday's forecast. And Toronto, you can see 12 degrees above zero here. Temperatures will fall as we get through this evening, and tomorrow only looking at a high of about 1 to 2 degrees throughout the GTA. Now let me take you into Winnipeg here, and everybody bracing for the Grey Cup. Now temperatures are going to be warmer in Winnipeg as we look at this weekend here, but at game time it's going to be about -4 with that wind chill. It's going to feel closer to -9. So you certainly have to bundle up, but I'm sure it'll be lots of fun to be out there in Winnipeg on Sunday. Now let's talk about Ontario here and really this big contrast of temperatures. We see that cold air filtering in through the north. Places like Kapuskasing picked up 10 centimeters of snow with this. Now that snow will continue to sink further to the south. Southern Ontario, it's a warm, mild morning, but that cold air continues to filter through. And this evening, we even have the potential around 7 to 8 p.m. tonight to see some light mixing throughout the GTA. Mainly rain throughout the day as temperatures are going to be warm, but that mixing potential will certainly come as this cold air sinks further to the south. Now, as we look ahead at this weekend, Saturday is going to be a rainy day in through the Maritimes here. New Brunswick even ending off with some snow. Snow as well in through Newfoundland, and that all clears out for Sunday. High pressure in place, but we will feel the chill. Now here's more on your weather, your local forecast. Still seeing that cold air filter in across the prairies, but Alberta not so much included in this anymore. No, Edmonton will be 4 degrees above zero today, Calgary at 2, and what we'll see here is the last day of that Arctic influence in through BC. Yeah, we'll see less of that northeasterly flow, more of the onshore flow, and this is where we are going to see some warmer temperatures move through the BC south coast. So this afternoon here, look at this, 1 in Red Deer, 4 in Edmonton, 2 in Calgary. These are certainly above seasonal temperatures, and that is going to slightly shift over further to the east as well. Look at Regina sitting at the 0-degree mark. Very nice, especially when you compare it to the wind chill that we were feeling earlier this week. Yesterday, Winnipeg was -12. Today, -4. So you can see that warmer air starts to slowly shift across the prairies here, and we are looking at better conditions into this weekend as well. What we're seeing is the jet stream rise. So we are looking at nice conditions up in Canada, but the issue is the subtropical jet still quite a trough here, and we have this cutoff low, which continues to bring cooler conditions in through the U.S., especially the northern plains. But in Canada, good news is we're still going to be benefiting from the warmth, sort of that Pacific warmth moves across the prairies. Now Ontario here to the south, Toronto, nice and warm this morning, beautiful conditions. They stretch from southwestern Ontario all the way up towards Petawawa and Pembroke. But what we're seeing now is this snow line continue to move further to the south. The cold air comes through. Sudbury has been seeing some mixing, some freezing rain as well, and that's making it very slick out on the roads. So the rain showers will continue for the south, and they're going to move throughout southern Quebec as well and into Atlantic Canada. Let me take you now into the Eastern Passage. Have a look at this scene here. What we are going to see is some colder air move through. Today is above seasonal in Atlantic Canada. We're looking at wonderful conditions, potential to certainly get into the teens throughout Nova Scotia, but same situation as what we're seeing in Ontario here. That cold air, it continues to sink further to the south. We are going to see widespread snow throughout the day on Saturday through Newfoundland, and likely to see some flurries as well through New Brunswick. We're going to stay as rain throughout Nova Scotia and PEI, but the cold air will come through, and we're going to see a big drop in temperatures. Check out the temperatures right now, actually. Here's your local. And we're back here to talk about your systems right across the country. It is Friday, a Black Friday at that. Let me know if you're headed out to do some Black Friday shopping. I'm all about the Cyber Monday. Yeah, shopping online. Not going to handle the crowds. Okay, let's take a look here at weather across the west. High pressure is in place. Today is the last day of seeing that Arctic outflow. So those cooler conditions funneling in through BC with that northeasterly wind. High pressure is in place. Not so much of an Arctic high anymore. It's actually going to be funneling in some warmer air here, but off to the east, we're not talking about high pressure. No, we're talking actually about this system coming through. It's all mild conditions to the south. That's why we're waking up with temperatures in through southern Ontario. We saw them over 10 degrees here, places like Petawawa even at 13. But to the north here, well, that's where all the cold air continues to filter through. Sudbury saw a prolonged period of some mixing. The cold air continues to sink further to the south. It's even likely that Toronto could get into a few periods of some mixing late tonight, more after 7-8 p.m. In terms of the rain here, GTA area could see about 10 millimeters of it, but the Huron shores, this is where you will be tracking some higher totals. We could see about 20 millimeters of rain for you. Now this rain, it does continue to move further to the east here, and we are going to see a rainy day in through New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI, even Newfoundland as we look ahead into Saturday, but followed quickly by some of that snow. So as we look at some of the rainfall accumulations here, you could see some of the heavier amounts up towards the Gaspé and northern portions of New Brunswick before that switches to snow. Just about to get into special programming here, but first let's talk about this cold front that's tracking across eastern portions of the country. Well, thanks so much for making the Weather Network a part of your day today. It is Friday, and as we look at systems across the country, the west, it's fairly quiet. The east, it's really the battle of the air masses here. Warm conditions in through the south, cool in the north, but that cold air continues to filter through. And now meteorologist Matt Grinter joins the show with a look here at our Long Ranger. And Matt, as we start off Monday, many people across the country were close to the freezing mark, but really uniform temperatures across the country. So let's look at Monday here in Ontario.
Right, so we are actually a little bit below seasonal from our cool down this weekend starting next week. But the difference is as we start to see that rise into Tuesday.
Okay, so Tuesday here, this is where we see the next system for Ontario. And can you explain this a little?
Right, so the next system, we're actually looking at the rain system for southern Ontario. And once we start to get into the northern areas, that potential for some snow as well. But the plus side is we are actually jumping into those warmer temperatures.
Okay, so as we look here again, it's another big sort of divide of Ontario when we talk about these conditions. We got the freezing mark up to the north, 9 in Toronto. Do you think there's the potential here to hit double digits?
I think right along in through the Niagara region, there is that potential. We may get to the low double digits.
Okay, good way to start off December, right? As we focus in on this system, Wednesday it transitions into the Atlantic.
Right, so same scenario as southern Ontario. Warm in through Nova Scotia. Northern Maritimes, we do have that potential of those colder temperatures as well, so we're even looking at some snow potential there too.
Alrighty, now let's talk about Vancouver here. Vancouver, after a beautiful weekend, what happens?
Well, the plus side is we stay into those seasonal temperatures. However, we do get into a wet pattern again for next week. So multiple rounds of systems moving in for them.
All right, now I want to focus in on the prairies here. We don't have a big Arctic high coming into play. For the most part, this is cold. It looks like winter, but the 7-day forecast, this is really nice.
Yeah, we're beautiful, we're dry. We are actually above seasonal as well. The pattern that we're going to be looking at next is mild.
Okay, when we talk about mild here, it's something that the whole country can share in. So this is a little preview of the first week of December, and I want to remind you as well to find out more on our winter forecast. Tune in on Monday. And now let's talk about the weekend. A lot of sunshine from Winnipeg over through Toronto and Montreal. The rain showers will continue through eastern portions of the country. And as we look across the west here, warming up 2 degrees in Calgary, 6 in Vancouver. Now, we're starting off December on a similar note to this, actually. But what will December be like? What about January as well? You have to tune into the Weather Network on Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. We reveal our winter outlook.